Well, I'm really excited this morning to be speaking with Max Pearlstein. Max is a writer, a consultant. He is just a general glazing industry expert. He writes his own blog, as well as for Glass Magazine and other magazines. So thanks for taking time to talk with me this morning, Max.
Absolutely an honor to be with you, Chris. Big fan of what you've done, and looking forward to this big time.
Excellent. So we were talking a little bit earlier off the microphone, and you started to talk about some of your family history. And one of the questions I had to ask you anyway was, do you come from a family of glazers?
Yes, yeah, we've been in the glass business since 1898. We've always said that glass is in our blood. Ironically, this is not something I wanted to do when I was growing up, and I can get to that in a second. But the glass business has always been our way. So my great grandfather came over in 1898. All he had was a glass cutter in his pocket and $34. His last name was Moshkevich. It wasn't Pearlstein, and he did not speak very good English. And when they were in the line coming through and registering to get into America, he basically repeated what the gentleman in front of him said. And that person said, my last name is Pearlstein and I do glass. And my, great grandfather said the exact same thing. It just happened to be that he was a glass guy. And so if you think about it, that's how, some folks picked up names like Baker, because they didn't, they didn't understand, the English language, and they would just know what they were supposed to tell the people at Ellis Island. So anyway, he started in the glass business in Philadelphia in 1898. He delivered glass by bicycle. And that still to this day just blows me away, just to trying to imagine with the bumpy roads and a piece of plate glass being drug along on a bicycle. But he started at 1898, built the company up over the years, where there were locations throughout the United States, as far west as Oklahoma City. His company was one of the original glazers on the Empire State Building. So they're one of the original installers there. They had distribution places where my grandfather and father worked. And so it's been a family business forever. They did end up selling out in 1968, but my father restarted in his own business, which was called Pearlstein Distributing, in 1977. And at that point, it was just a whole nother adventure where it was distribution, and mostly, just flat glass, mirrors and laminated. My brother got heavily into the business, and he brought us into tempering and insulating and making shower doors, things like that. And eventually, they convinced me to come into the business. I was a sports producer at the NBC affiliate in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hometown, was really enjoying it, but the pay was bad, the hours were bad, the lifestyle was bad. And my brother said, glass is in your blood. You need to give this a shot. And I joined him in 91, and I've been here ever since.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, it's an adventure. It's an adventure. And I mean, that's getting into it. Once I got into it and worked my way through the business, there's probably a few more stories that we'll get to.
We know I was reading your blog, and I just wanted to say thanks for mentioning the shower manufacturer installer professionals group on there. It was interesting you were talking about how Facebook, people are just kind of trying to get away from it, and I couldn't agree more. It's just like a cesspool out there, and but just trying to kind of redeem a little section of it. It's just a great format for people to share their stuff, and glazers are very proud. We're very proud of our work.
And as you should be. I mean, the pictures and the details on the shower door installers and manufacturers page, your page, are incredible. I mean, every day when I see, a post by you or Steve or one of the other guys, I'm blown away. I mean, it's amazing, what you see. And then also the byplay between everybody is so important, because, there's sharing of smart best practices. There's also commiserating of, oh, look at what I had to deal with today, and we all go through that. And it's a great therapy session. It is interesting with Facebook because it is a challenge anymore because of the cesspool sort of angle, like you mentioned. But format wise, it's perfect for what you're doing with that page. It allows multiple pictures. It's great for the communication between folks. So it does play well. And so you're right. I mean, you are doing a great job of cleaning up that piece of the program. And I highly recommend it. I love when it pops up on my feed, and I get to see the amazing work that men and women do all across this country with the shower enclosures and so on. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm just I'm blown away by some of the stuff I see on there. And I've been in this industry, since I was in my 20s, and I'm much older than that now. I'm still learning stuff from other guys in the group, and that's one of the key things that it's there for, is just for glazers to encourage other glazers and learn new stuff and show off.
And I think we need that, because I do think that those of us who are in the business, really do realize the excitement of what we do, and the way it looks, the way it plays. I think that those are things that are that are really, really exciting for us. But not a lot of other people sometimes see that. They don't realize what goes into making an incredible shower enclosure, and it's great that we can promote it that way. And it's great that we can all be proud of each other with the work that's being done.
I agree. Yeah. Max, you are a smart guy. Now I was reading your blog, and man, you know a lot about the glazing industry, and I I see that you write. You're a prolific writer. It looks like you're in consulting. What would you say? I mean, do you have a day job? Is there like one job?
Well, it is a bit of an adventure. So just taking you back, I started blogging in 2005, and it really was a therapeutic outlet, kind of similar to what we were talking about with you showing on the Facebook page all of the different jobs and allowing folks to talk back and forth about what was good, what was bad, what was ugly. For me, it was the same thing. I really wanted to kind of communicate with the industry, but I also wanted to get things off my chest. Back then I was a lot younger. I felt like I was bulletproof. It was before I went through some really tough professional times. And I had supporters then that liked me to be, really harsh. I mean, I was very rough on people. I was very caustic with my posts. Wasn't very positive, and it's because I felt like, hey, I'm on top of the world. I can do anything I want. I've got this great platform, and I can talk the way I want to talk. And eventually, as I'll explain in a bit, I learned my lessons. But the goal was to just be able to communicate with the industry. It was an opening; people weren't doing it, and so I started that. And it was 2005. Things were really good. The businesses were rolling. I was a vice president of marketing at Arch Aluminum and Glass at that point. We had 34 locations throughout the country. Things were going fantastic. I was writing an article every month for U.S. Glass Magazine at that time. That was going extremely well. And then, the recession came, and the bubble burst and the world kind of crashed. Arch filed for bankruptcy, and it was a very high-profile bankruptcy. I think we were in the news 36 straight days. Those little daily news items that came out every day. There was a little blurb about us going through the bankruptcy process. It was devastating, and we went through the bankruptcy process. Got sold off through that bankruptcy process, and through all of this, I kept the blog up. But my perspective started to change. It definitely wasn't bulletproof anymore, and eventually the new owners let me go, and so had to start again. Looked for a new job. Was very fortunate to end up at Vitro America. Great group of people there, people that I will love for the rest of my life. They were incredibly super nice, classy people. But ironically, as things would have it, they ended up going into bankruptcy too. So it was funny. I mean, 2 Thanksgivings in a row, back-to-back years. I went through a bankruptcy process, and then 2 Junes in a row, I got fired by the new owners after the bankruptcy process. So it was a kind of a tumultuous couple of years, and it was the same company that bought both Arch and Vitro America, and that's the current TrueLight company that is a pretty large company owned by private equity. And so the same company bought the companies I was at 2 years in a row, fired me 2 years in a row, virtually on the same days, and so I had to start something new. And so it was my brother who was a very big help in this, and then Nicole Harris from NGA, and another gal who used to be at NGA named Denise Sheehan. They were very supportive in saying, you know what, so many people in this industry. Why don't you become a consultant and talk, lend your assistance to other folks and so on. And so I built this plan that I would be a true sole source, and that's the name of my company, Sole Source Consultants, to companies to help them with communication strategy, which is what I felt was my strength. So that would include, basic marketing, communications, PR, website building, magazine ads, market studies, anything that really had to do with communication of a company. I was offering those services, and the timing was right because, things were still kind of tough. Companies weren't hiring full-time marketing people anymore. And so I could do it part-time for each company and be able to, set a little bit of my time across the day, as long as I was able to find companies that didn't compete and I didn't have any sort of conflict of interest. And I was able to start building the business. And NGA, National Glass Association, and Glass Build America was one of my first clients. And I've been with them ever since. So that was 2011. And it's been an incredible experience. And now what I do is, I have clients like those who I help with their day-to-day communications. And I still write the blog. I eventually moved over to Glass Magazine in 2011, especially with becoming a consultant with them, and it made a lot of sense. So my blog now appears on eGlass Weekly every Tuesday. I don't appear much in their physical magazine, but that's fine. I like being online, so I'm still blogging. I still blog every week, usually 48 weeks out of the year, unless news breaks and I have to put up a special blog. And I love it. I love the variety in my life. I love the ability to help people. I love getting to know people. I'm a serial networker, which is kind of funny because in my home life, if you ask my wife and kids, they would never believe that I actually talk to people because I'm very to myself. I'm not very out there, but in the glass industry, I like to shake hands and meet people and add to my network. And that's a very long-winded answer to a short question, but basically that's what I do. I'm a consultant who helps people find what they need, and if I can't find it, I will find somebody who can. And I get those requests all the time. Hey, I need a specialty lawyer to help me with this issue I have, or I need a technical guy who can tell me if this is within code. And I point those people to the right direction and the right other independent consultants. So it's worked out really well, Chris. I'm excited about the future. I love this industry, and I think when you read what I write, I'm extremely positive, and I try to stay positive about the industry, positive about the economy, positive about our people. Nothing makes me happier than putting a note up about someone getting a new job or starting a new branch, that sort of thing. Because I think good news is rare in our world, so it's nice to share some.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like we're at kind of a pivotal point in history in terms of the glass industry. I feel like, and I don't want to sound derogatory in any way. It's just I think it's a fact that glazers tend to be, we're athletes, we're mechanics, we tend to be motorheads, man. We tend to be like kind of meatheads, I mean, we're just like, hey, big, grab that big piece of sharp glass, stick it in the hole, and not very cerebral, not very outreach oriented. And it seems like that's something that kind of needs to change, and it's exciting to listen to you talk because you have the same kind of passion that I have for the glass industry. This is my family craft. This is what my dad did, this is what my brother does, and what I do. And, when I was a little kid, other kids would ask me what my dad did, and I'd say he was a glazer. And they were like, what's that?
Right.
And to this day, I mean, probably more people don't know what a glazer is than those that do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I,
and that's a concern of mine, is the fact that we do kind of hide ourselves and hide our abilities. What you and so many people, who other people are out there who handle materials are doing, is incredible. You guys are master craftsmen. There's an art to what you do. And yeah, I know that some of it is just pure muscle and pure determination, but it's an art. When you're, whether you're installing just a rectangle piece into a storefront, or you're doing one of your really intricate shower enclosures, it's still an art. You have to have significant skill to understand it all, to make it work. I mean, most of the world doesn't understand that. And we as an industry have to get better at educating the world about what we do, where we come in. I think that, for instance, Dustin Anderson from Anderson Glass, who had, a recurring role on Flip or Flop with Chip and Joanna Gaines on the HGTV network. I think he did a lot to help, because he was on that show so often, wearing a T-shirt that said Glazer on it. I think it helped at least open up some eyes, but we've got a long way to go. We've got to keep figuring out what to do. It's a discussion that I've had with NGA often about a promotional piece, just promoting our industry, getting some of maybe the bigger companies behind it, because that would help us get some younger folks into this industry, and get them involved. Yeah, it's a scary, dangerous industry, because you're handling heavy, sharp pieces of material, like you said earlier. But man, look at what you can do with it. Look at the effect that you have. It's huge, and we need to do a better job explaining that, or else we're gonna be hurting. And the interesting thing is the work that you and others do, that cannot be replaced by a robot. You cannot automate a shower installation. And so this is a position, and this is a craft that's going to be around to the end of time. So we got to find a way to promote it better.
When we spoke the first time, you touched base with me, and we were talking about Glass Build America. What's your role with Glass Build America?
Well, it's funny because for years when I was working with NGA and Glass Build, my role was as a kind of an ambassador on the floor. I was videotaping booths and talking to exhibitors, talking to attendees. I would have speaking roles for the last couple of years. I did express learning sessions on social media and how to advance your business through it. I'd moderate panels at the event, at the Glazing Executives Forum, and so I was active really at the show. I ran the Best in Show program for them, and dealt with our judges that would walk the floor and award the booths that were deemed best in various categories, best looking and most approachable sort of thing. And so it was really on a show, showtime basis. And I did some, pre-work, with promotion, but not much. This year that's changed. This year, as a part of my consulting role with NGA and Glass Build, I'm working closely with the team at NGA, Andrew Herring, who's our Vice President of Business Development. He was the ex VP of Marketing at C.R. Lawrence. Andrew, has me on his team, and we are, basically, trying extremely hard to update the world on what Glass Build is and why you need to be there. What we found in some initial research was a lot of people didn't understand what Glass Build was, how big it is, what you can get out of it. We just weren't effective with the messaging in the past. And I think a lot of it was assumption, because the show has been around for so long, thousands of people attend. And I think that, we all, may have fallen under the guise of, hey, everybody knows what it is sort of thing. Here's the date, we roll out the ball and people come play. This year we're going at it a completely different way. We want to find more people, reach out to more people, build better lists, and get people to this event, which, is Atlanta, Georgia, September 17th to the 19th. It is the biggest glass window and door show in North America every year. We'd like to have more than 10,000 people there this year. We had 8,500 last year. We have exhibits, over 400 exhibits from exhibitors from all over the world, and they bring in their machinery, they bring in their products, and it's the entire glass industry. So it's everybody from folks that are putting in windows and the components that go into those windows, like the hardware, the jambs, the locks, and so on, to tempering furnace manufacturers and tempering furnace representatives like IGE Solutions, IGE Glass Technologies out of Florida. They'll have 15 different sort of glass and glazing machinery options in their booth for people to either look at on video or actually physically touch, feel, and play with. There'll be glass suppliers, hardware suppliers from all over the world. So specifically talking about the shower installation page, you want to see where all the hardware is and get more thoughts on A, what's out there, B, where to get it from. You walk that floor, you'll have 25 different options by the end of your day there. And so we want to educate everybody on what's going on at the show, the innovation that's there, the education. There's constant educational pieces running all day, 20-minute sessions, which are easy little bite-sized sessions to take in. There's action demonstrations. If you want to see how hurricane protective glass is tested and approved, you get to watch a 2x4 shot out of a cannon, into a piece of glass. And then you see it, same thing, into a piece of protective glass. And that's a legitimate hurricane protection test. And I know out in California, that's not an issue, but for the East Coast and Texas, a lot of folks love to come see that. Plus, people love to see things blown up and beat up, sort of thing. So we have that. We have the forums for the forecast, some best practice sharing amongst non-competitive companies. You name it, we have it. We just haven't done a great job of explaining it, and this year we are. And this year we're going to put it all out there, and we're hoping to really get more people in, because at the bottom line, Chris, is the more people that can attend, the more people that can learn, they get better, just by osmosis in a way, but they get better from being there. And the better they get, the better the industry gets. And the better the industry gets, we all win. That's the key at the end of the day. Is we all want to get better because we want our lives to be better. We want our industry to be better. So the more people we can get to Glass Build, will improve the industry big time.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it really is. It's about the money. I mean, we go to work for the money. And good work is worth good money.
Absolutely.
If we improve the quality of our work, then there's no limit to how much money we can make, how well we can provide for our family, and just make the industry the best that it can be.
Absolutely, you've nailed it, and that's why I think that whether it's Glass Build obviously is very close to my heart, but I really believe that there are events that happen throughout the year that if people don't attend, they don't know, and there's nothing like going to some of these things and learning. And meeting people and networking. And, that's why I do like what you do with the shower page, because, I learn. And I mean, you don't want me anywhere near a shower installation because I've got, 10 thumbs. The funny story about, again, being in a family business, when I was 12, and one of the reasons I didn't want to go into the glass business is my dad put me in the warehouse. And I think I broke so much glass in one day, that he lost all of his hair. But then he said to me, the one day he looked at me and he goes, "You're an office person." So at that point, I don't think anybody wants me anywhere near glass. But it's so important to get out and learn.
So now, at Glass Build, is that something that just the average glazer can show up at and check it out?
Absolutely, it is. That's the beauty of it. And I mean, we have so many people that don't understand that it's not a big time exclusive show. Obviously through your Facebook page, we're going to have free expo passes, so it won't cost anybody anything to come to the show floor and walk through those 400 booths and spend the day there. Other than their travel to get there, But the ability to come in and walk and meet people is wide open. And we've had glass shops and glazers of all sizes come through for years, and they keep coming back. The key is it's just not enough people realize that, not enough people know that. And so I've talked to people, shops with 10 people in California who, when we have the show in Vegas, the show alternates between Vegas and Atlanta every other year. And so they're in California, and they'll drive over for the day to Las Vegas, and they'll spend the day and walk the show and spend 8 hours going up and down the floor, and they'll have their bags with them, and their bags will be filled with either, samples, gear, giveaways, brochures, you name it. But, they come and they get loaded up. And the big key is again, that knowledge, that, seeing something that, in person, being able to touch and feel it, makes a big difference, especially when you're a craftsman. You want to know, that piece of hardware is heavy. You can't tell that on a website. You can't tell, it may look good on the website, and then you get one in and it's like light as a feather. You want something that's meaty, and you want to be able to feel it. In Glass Build, you can touch and feel and learn.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, I love new stuff. I think you probably know that I tinker with gadgets, making little tools and stuff like that, and I love that kind of stuff. Not only do I do that myself, but whenever something new comes on the market, I want to get one and try it out. And I've got some pretty cool pieces of equipment that are kind of gadgety that I love and that I use all the time. And that's going to be the place to see all that stuff. I mean, when it's brand new, when it's first coming out, that's going to be the place to get a chance to check it out and be the first guy on the block to have one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, for someone like you, it's also a way for you to see, get your mind, going on, hey, you know what? I like what they're doing there, but I think I have a better way of doing it myself. And then all of a sudden you can maybe, take what they have and work with them, and, be able to, implement that into your business. And all of a sudden, you're becoming more efficient. And it goes back to your original point of, it is about the money. We all want to make more money. Well, if you can find ways on this floor to become more efficient, that's more money.
I love it. So, apart from the glass industry, what are you curious about? What are you learning about right now?
Uh, it's funny. I mean, when my dad passed away, in his eulogy, I wrote that he had three loves in his life. His family, the glass business, and sports. And I said I was not sure in what order that was in, of what he loved the most. And I feel like for the most part, I followed in his footsteps with regards. So I love the glass industry. My family is just number one to me. I have two incredible children that are in Florida right now. My daughter is finishing up a deal at Walt Disney World in Orlando as a part of her second semester of her sophomore year in college. My son's a freshman at Full Sail University in Orlando, and they're awesome. And I got really, really lucky to marry a woman who was in the glass industry, who I actually met over the phone. She was a customer of ours, and so I met her over the phone. It's a long, convoluted story. I won't do that to you or your listeners today. But I met her, we got married, and we lost the account because even though I married her, the company was mad that she came and left them to come work with us. So I picked up a wife, picked up an employee, and lost an account. But I do my family, the business, and I'm a huge sports fan. I love college sports, college basketball, college football. I still follow the NFL, but not as close as I used to. I'm not a fan of the commissioner there, but love hockey, basketball. So that's my release. I try to avoid those things. The political adventures that we have in our country, I try to avoid that the best I can, just because nobody's ever happy, and so I'd like to stay away from that. And so, those are the big things. I do like to read. I love inside stories of things. Best book I've read in a long time was a book about the inside story of BlackBerry, which I know you probably remember. That was the hot phone, 10 years ago. That was the phone to have, the BlackBerry. And the inside story of that was just an incredible read, because these guys got incredibly lucky to figure it out, incredibly lucky to be at the head of the table, and then they rested on their laurels while Steve Jobs created the iPhone and just blew them away. And they had no respect for the iPhone, thought it was a toy. And it was just a great read. I mean, every page, you're slapping your forehead of going, oh, no, 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 come on. And Chris, it was those sort of things I love to read. And so those are the things outside the world that I'm into. But it's definitely family and the glass business are my worlds.
One other thing I wanted to ask you is just about writing. I mean, people look at like someone who writes and think, "Oh man, what an easy job!" It's just like write. And the truth is, writing is not an easy thing to do. And I kind of aspire to be a writer. I mean, I don't really know if I have the time right now. I write a little bit, try to do that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What advice we have for somebody who's wants to be a writer?
Well, that's the big thing. Is like you said, it's the time. You just got to do it. And the tough thing is that there's different styles. I'll be honest. The blog has really hurt my traditional writing skills, because I kind of write now, because I've been blogging since 2005. I write like a blogger, and so like somebody will say, "Hey, write me up a press release," and I'll struggle at first writing the press release, because I'm writing it like a blogger. I'm writing it conversationally, and writing words with dot dot dot, slash parentheses, like I write, because my blog is like stream of consciousness, and press releases really can't be that way. But the whole key is just it's doing it. It's just constantly doing it, and getting feedback from others. It's editing. Is huge. People that'll take a few minutes to edit it, can really help you and start to open up your eyes. And the biggest thing I do is I'll write something and I will let it sit either for a few hours, or I'll let it sit overnight, and then I'll go back to it, because and it's funny. I'll be like, I can't believe I wrote that. It's just never write anything that you want to submit in the moment. Wait a little while, go back to it, and reread it before you submit it, sort of thing.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great advice. I mean, that's good advice even for sending an email, an important
Yeah,
email, right?
important. Yeah, emotion is tough. I've done that too, and it's the worst. We had an exhibitor cancel out at Glassfield a few years ago, and I was really mad, just because I'd worked really hard to help them and promote. And when they had sent out the note that these people had canceled, they had one of the people from the company on the note, and I didn't see it. And
Oh.
so I replied with probably the nastiest, dirty reply. And as soon as I hit send, I started to go do other things. I looked down at my phone, and the name of the guy that was from this company popped up, and I immediately went, "Oh my God, he was on that email." I mean, why else would he call? And I mean, he just lit into me. How would you say that? And I was just like, I was emotional. I was mad, and so you definitely learn your lesson. You got to wait.
Max Pearlstein. Hey, check out his blog. It's called From the Fabricator, Glass and Aluminum Insights. He's been writing this blog since 2005, and it's a great blog. Check it out. Hey, we should talk again sometime.
Would love that. Thank you for having me, and thank you from an industry standpoint for what you do, both in business and with Facebook and social media. You're a shining star that we all can point to on how good our world is. So thank you.
Thanks for your time, Max.